Hello, everybody. This is Jake Stenziano, host of Wheelbarrow Profits Podcast, here with my co-host, the multi-family mentor, the coach, the chef, the father of six, the best-selling author, the G-Daddy, Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Jake, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you?
Always making it happen, big man. I want to know, how was this retreat this weekend? That's what I want to find out about. You didn't tell me anything.
Oh, go Abundance. I had a great retreat with a bunch of guys. It was just a mastermind for the whole weekend, and you just dive into businesses, guys who have, multi-million dollar net worths, but even more, they're just guys who are going through life, have struggles, trying to grow businesses, and I always preach that mastermind concept, and I was pretty blown away by these guys. I mean, I had a fantastic time, got together to network, and my friends are getting mad at me because, like, Dad's hanging out with friends now. I'm not supposed to have friends, I guess. You know what I'm saying? I'm only supposed to be hanging out with my kids. Right?
No.
They're killing me, Jake. I'm having a great time finally down here in Florida, so it's awesome. I recommend everybody get into a mastermind. We're in a mastermind, monthly mastermind, Jake, right? I mean, there's something about the power of getting together with like-minded individuals who are smarter than you and better than you, and you want to get to their level, and that's the only way you're going to get to their level is by surrounding yourself with people like that. That's why we got Brian on the call today, because we're going to get to his level today, hopefully, right?
Watch out, world. The G-Daddy is getting out of his comfort zone. That's all I got to say about that. So before we get started, I want to give a quick shout-out to our sponsor, CrowdStreet, who knows you don't have to know a guy to find a quality commercial real estate investment opportunity. Learn more at crowdstreet.com/wheelbarrow. And for visiting, they're going to give you a free gift. So check out crowdstreet.com/wheelbarrow. Today's guest is Brian Scudamore. Brian is the founder and CEO of O2E Brands, the banner company for 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Wow, One Day Painting, You Move Me, and Shack Shine.
That's a list.
Wow. Seen those bandit signs out there, so I feel like I already know him. He's a serial entrepreneur known for pioneering the professional junk hauling industry with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. So without further ado, Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I love your energy, you guys. Thanks for having me on this morning, and excited to be here.
3 espressos deep, that's all I got to say. So, all these businesses, I want to hear about the first business. Did you have a business when you were a kid? When did you do your first business, with all this?
Yeah, started 28 years ago. There I was in a McDonald's drive-thru of all places looking for a way to pay for college. I saw a beat-up old pickup truck in front of me. I looked at the truck. It was filled with junk, and I was inspired. I was inspired to go buy my own beat-up truck, $700 later, and built plywood sides on it, spray painted the phone number 738 junk on the side, and I was in business. And it was really, while it was a way to pay for college, I never finished high school. I was one course short of graduation. My father, who was a liver transplant surgeon, thought I might follow in his academic roots. Quite the opposite, a full-time junk man, and the rest is history.
So what did Dad say when you came up with that proposal? Honestly, what did he think, and how did you react to it? And I want to hear that story.
Well, there were 2 moments. When I went out and bought a truck and started the business to pay for college, my dad's like, good on you, what an awesome idea. It was when I sat down with my dad a few years into my college education with just 1 year left to say, hey, Dad, I'm learning more about running a business, running one, more than I am studying from a marketing professor in college who has never run a business. And I said, I'm going to drop out and be a full-time junk man. And my dad had to take a seat, and he's like, gee, my oldest son, I had such high hopes for you. So really, I think it's one of those times where he questioned my sanity and what I was doing, but 10 or 15 years later, he came around and said, okay, Brian, you're on the right track.
You're doing it.
It only took him 10 years? That's actually not too bad, to be honest with you. I guess results speak for themselves, but why junk? What was the epiphany for the junk?
It really was that serendipitous moment of seeing a beat-up pickup truck and just connecting with opportunity, thinking, wow, I could do that. It's like a kid seeing a lemonade stand. You're watching your buddies on a corner, and you're like, wow, I could go borrow some pink lemonade from my parents' freezer and go do the same thing. It was something I saw that was easy to do. Go buy a pickup truck, start hauling junk, charge a fee to take someone's junk from their basement, the garage, off to the landfill or the recycling stations. And it was a simple model. So while it funded my way through education, the education system, and then inspired me to drop out, the gap there that I realized, or the opportunity I saw, I was born in San Francisco and I live in Vancouver, and I would go down to visit my grandparents and my family in San Francisco, and I'd see junk trucks down there. I'm like, wow, this is an opportunity to consolidate an industry. What if I was to create the FedEx of junk removal? clean, shiny trucks, friendly uniform drivers. I could take this business to a whole nother level. And that's where I started to see that professionalizing an industry was the real opportunity, not just funding a college education.
So how old were you when you were doing that? Were you still like 20, 21 years old when you had that epiphany moment?
Yeah, 23 when I dropped out of college. By 25, I had a business that was about $500,000 in revenue. And at 27, I hit that magic $1 million mark where you talk about your retreat with your mastermind. I got into my own mastermind group called EO, the Entrepreneur Organization. Once you hit $1 million, you're able to join this organization. And for me, they became my virtual MBA, my mentor board of advisors, a group of people that I've always believed, and it sounds like you guys believe the same thing. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. So for me, it's surround myself with smarter people who really are on the right trajectory to make a successful life happen and see what I can learn from them.
But I mean, honestly, why business? I mean, your father was, I guess, a serial worker. But why did you choose business? Is this lonely path of entrepreneurship? What else, drove you to that? Was it you wanted to make money, or what else was the underlying passion behind that?
Yeah, I think my early 20s, it was making money. I wanted to be one of those guys who was Porsche before 30 and all that sort of stuff, which I could have afforded the Porsche, but never ended up getting one because I realized money wasn't really my motivator. I drive a little Fiat 500, even though I could afford a different type of Italian car, I'm sure. But what I love is building business. I love watching people grow, opportunity grow. We've got 4 brands, not because our egos need to have multiple brands, but because why not widen the opportunity for others? Our parent company is called O2E Brands, which stands for Ordinary to Exceptional, taking mom and pop fragmented industries and making them exceptional through customer experience. I love what I do. I love business. It's like a game. Every day we get to play a game and have fun together. You make some mistakes, you learn from them, but it's all about growing.
Gino, I want to jump in for a second because you just said something that really resonated with me. And our business model is taking mom and pop apartment complexes and turning them into professionally run businesses. So how ironic is that he's doing it in a different space, but it's opportunity, and that he's furthermore creating opportunities for his employees and growing these businesses. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Brian,
it's a ton of fun, and that's where there's opportunity. If you can see something other people are doing, but they're not doing it well enough.
Yep.
I mean, what a great opportunity for you to professionalize the apartment industry.
Yep.
There's opportunity everywhere, and I'm sure you guys are taking advantage.
So how do you analyze an opportunity? How do you go into a specific industry or market? Because they're all really different. You have gutter cleaning, window cleaning. You have a moving company. You have I have a friend or a partner here in St. Augustine that talks about spokes on a wheel. Basically, you have a business and you're just throwing off different businesses that can fund each other. So you can basically say to a homeowner, here's my cleaning business, here's my moving business, here's my painting business, here's my hauling business. Are you trying to build, I guess, a brand within a brand that can serve multiple, I guess, sources of income? Was that your inspiration for creating the other brands also?
I think the added value that we get from having that spoke system is phenomenal. There's great leverage there. I mean, like an Amazon where, they might have started with books and then they get into all sorts of other things they sell. I think for us, it's a bit of a bonus. But what motivated me to get into other services was just seeing other opportunity for our people. Rather than have a great leader leave your business, why not have them become a managing director of your next great brand? Now, how I found these brands, all 3 of them, when you say evaluate an opportunity, it's been, again, a serendipitous moment of just connecting with an industry that's fragmented. So I was looking for someone to paint my home. I see this, I go network to find 3 different guys that can come give me quotes on painting my place. The first 2 come in, cigarette smoke, a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. They're 3 hours late. You really don't have confidence they're going to come in and paint the home. But the third guy says he's uniformed, clean, shiny van outside. His company is one-day painting. And he says, when we agree on painting day, we'll get it done in a day. He delivered the promise. I come home at 6:30 at night, floor to ceiling, moldings trimmed. The entire place was immaculate. I was blown away. And I said, have you ever looked at franchising? He said, yes, and he failed. But I said, I think I can help you, and we did a deal together.
That's awesome.
Wow.
The
I
bane of
see.
my existence, right, Gino? I know I have
wasn't
such
gonna say
a because we manage our own stuff, and painters from the beginning were just the bane of my existence because they would just time and time again get caught up in drugs and pills and pot and all this stuff, and they would just one in and out, in and out. So I'm sorry, I had to throw that out there, Gino. It's just drives me nuts.
Yeah, you guys might be too young to remember that show Murphy Brown, but there was that guy Eldon who was the painter who moved in with Murphy Brown. I mean, that's what painters do. They I think they need an extra home or something, and they take so long that they move in. And so why not blow people's mind? We actually called the company Wow One Day Painting. We wanted to wow people by getting it done in a day, and that just became a numbers game. Enough bodies in there, boom, get it done, no compromising on quality.
That's great. I think funeral homes and self-storage are in your future because those are two other fragmented industries that are just people are going to die and people love to store crap. So those are two industries I think that are in your future. Let me ask you, what would you say the steps to start a business for the average entrepreneur out there? Because I mean, there's some kind of framework because it seems you can go from one industry to the next, but those steps seem to be all the same. What would you tell listeners?
Yeah, every entrepreneur I know, whether they've been incredibly successful or they're just getting going. One of my favorites is Fred DeLuca, who founded Subway. He was a great mentor of mine who's since passed on. But Fred DeLuca got out there and just started with one sandwich shop. And before he was even making money, his partner, Peter Buck, who owned 50%, said, what are we going to do? You're selling like $6 worth of sandwiches in a day. And Fred said, let's open a second shop. And Peter Buck said, you got to be kidding me. And Fred said, we're never going to get to our goal of 32 stores within X time frame if we don't add a second store. So my point of that story is I think what entrepreneurs do, and they do well, is they see an opportunity and they take it. They take action. How many people out there have ideas that they think of, wow, I got the next great idea for the next Facebook, the next Google, but they do nothing with it? That's the terrible idea. That's the tragic part, when someone has an idea but they don't take that first step because they're overwhelmed, they don't think they have the money. I took $700 and bought a pickup truck. Apple started with $1,000 in a garage. It's taking something and just going, let's start from scratch, let's start with nothing and see what happens. I bet you guys have a similar story with your properties, and I don't know your story, but I bet there's something there where you landed on an opportunity and ran with it. You probably didn't have millions and millions of dollars. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you did. But my experience is that's how entrepreneurs start. Start small.
It's such an identical story to the Subway thing because we had I call it the crack den. Our first apartment complex was 25 units, and it was just a mess. And it took us a while. We got it turned around, but before we probably should have bought another property, we did. We picked up a 36 unit, and then within 6 months after that, we bought 136 units. So it was just stacking because we knew we needed to grow, and before you knew it, we're sitting here with almost $40 million of real estate, and it's just a few years gone by. It's what the hell happened, So, but yeah, no, it's very similar, I would say.
Yep.
You want to jump into what you learned about that first business, 1-800 got jump, and then from that, how you scaled it from $2 million to $106 million in revenue and 3,100 employees, Jake, in only 6 years.
That's great.
What was the learning pains in the very beginning of the business, and then secondly, how did you scale so quickly?
Yeah, and for context, we're approaching on the $400 million mark right now in revenue.
Nice.
We've probably got closer to 5,000 employees. So even since whatever information we got to, I apologize. Things have grown. But here's the story. The learning is always so clear after you've gone through it. When you're going through a tough time, it doesn't always seem clear. So one of the first pieces of learning that I remember was 5 years into my business, 1994. 25 years old. I had 11 employees. I fired them all, 100%. I sat down and said, sorry, guys, this isn't working out. I wasn't enjoying my job anymore. I believe in a work hard, play hard. I was just working hard. I wasn't having fun at work with the guys I was working with. They weren't the customer service professionals that I had envisioned. And one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. I probably had 9 out of 11 that just weren't working. So I got rid of them all and I started from scratch. And again, the lesson wasn't clear until several months later that it's all about people, finding the right people and treating them right. I failed as their leader. I didn't hire the right people, train them, give them the support, the love, whatever they needed, and it was my mistake. But it was a leadership lesson for me to learn to find the right people and then give them the leadership and support. And since then, if you were to be in our office right now, the Junction, what most people say when they walk through and they see our head office team of about 400 is, why is everybody smiling? Because we hire happy people and we treat them well so that they want to keep on smiling. It's a simple recipe, but it was learning that I had to experience. And thank goodness I experienced it when I had 11 people, not 4,000 or 5,000.
That's great that you took action and got rid of all 11, and that you realized it wasn't them, it was you. I mean, and probably they were on the wrong seat at the time. How do you go out and recruit that new talent? I mean, what do you look for in a candidate? Because Jake always loves to ask that question because we're always looking for better talent.
Yeah, we have something we call the beer and barbecue test. And what that is first of all, one person sitting down in an interview with someone for O2E Brands, would you have a beer with them? Would you sit down and have a cocktail, have a coffee, and just go, wow, I really like this person. We've got something to talk about. Are they interesting? Are they interested? Do you just have a good connection with them culturally? The second piece is on the bigger side of the values alignment, would they fit with the big picture of the whole company? We've got diversity here, but what we would say is the barbecue test is how would someone fit at a company barbecue? Do they mingle? Do they hang out and find their crowd? Are there a lot of people there that really sit there and go, wow, this person really fits. They've got the same values. And we want to have them part of the O2E Brands family. So while we're not sitting down literally and having a beer and a bunch of pork ribs with someone, we're sitting down and saying, do you fit? And if we'll interview someone 7 or 8 times, which is pretty common around here, we want to make sure that it's about cultural fit, value, fit, and alignment first. The skills they can learn. You know, if we're hiring a CFO, yeah, they need their CA, their designation, but it is really time spent on culture and fit and values more than anything else.
What were some of those growing pains as you're going from 11 employees to, I said, 3,100 to now 5,000? What were some of those real growing pains that you came up against?
Yeah, you can grow, and I think like Jake said, sometimes you go, what just happened? There's different points in the business where you ask yourself, like, WTF, what is going on? And I like to call it a willing to fail moment is what WTF stands for us, is did you just make a mistake and are you willing to learn from that? So my biggest WTF moment was when we had a COO, my second COO who was on board. This was a woman who was an ex-president at Starbucks. She ran 30,000 employees, had a great run with Starbucks for 15 years, smart, talented person, however, wasn't the right person for me and my leadership. We didn't work well together. We communicated fine. There weren't big problems, but she wasn't the person that truly saw my vision. And when I realized 14 months in that I needed to make a drastic change, it was a huge WTF moment where I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose so many people in my company because I'm getting rid of this one person at the top who isn't the right fit. I didn't really lose anybody, and we righted the ship. This was right during the global economic meltdown of the 2008-9, and we lost $40 to $50 million in revenue in 1 year. We had to turn things around, but it really started with getting that right person on board. So back to my lesson of it's all about people, finding the right people. I needed the right person, the right leader to be this two-in-the-box model working with me. And the mistake, the learning for me was I didn't spend enough time up front finding the right person. I was just wowed by the Starbucks pedigree. So I searched the planet and found somebody who was the right person for me. And Eric Church and I, 6 years together, and hopefully, tons and tons more, because it's pretty awesome.
Would you consider yourself then the visionary of the business? And I guess Eric or people beneath you need an integrator. I mean, is that the model that you have? Because you're a visionary, you can't be stuck with day-to-day operations. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that how you would classify that?
Yeah, I took a sheet of paper, one page, and I divided a line down the middle before finding Eric. And I said, what do I love to do? What am I best at? What does this person on the other side of the paper need to love and be best at? And will our strengths and weaknesses complement each other? And my biggest strength was on vision, culture, was seeing a big idea, seeing a possibility, and really being the champion to take that idea forward. Where Eric shines is the rigor, the discipline of building the team, putting the systems in place, the rigor, the structure of making things happen. Because let's face it, I mean, you guys are probably a dynamic duo. I can tell by the energy you've got. One of you, I would guess, has a little more vision, and one of you has a little more execution. And that's usually the way it is, or at least people have an agreement between each other to specialize, because if there's too much overlap in a partnership, that can be a big challenge.
Jake, I learned this weekend, piggybacking off what Brian said, you got to cut it at the end, and you're great at this. Just when you have an employee, you have to get rid of him if he's not working. One of the guys in the mastermind actually said he fires 25% of his staff just to keep the other 75% motivated, and he even said it's like taking a big crap. You just got to do it, and you got to get over
Jack
it.
Welch look like a wuss, huh?
No, but I'm just saying, I guess everyone has their own style and all, but that was one of my big shortcomings when I had my other businesses, is that I would just hold on too long. And like Brian, I wasn't in the 40, 50, it wasn't that big of a mistake, but I think that's one thing that everyone on this show is listening is got to do. You don't swallow it. You just got to cut it off. And Jake always talks about it. It's like a cancer. You might have some short-term pain, but I think for the long term, it's going to work things out.
It always ends out so much better. It really does.
Right?
It does. Yeah, the only caveat, the add to that comment, which I totally agree with, when you mention growing pains, I often think that leaders don't hold up the mirror and look at themselves. And so I've had to look at myself and myself at times and say, okay, I've just gotten rid of a bunch of people. We've over the years gotten rid, unfortunately, of some good people, but my leadership wasn't right, or our leadership as a team wasn't right, and we weren't in the right place to be able to support those people. So it's looking at getting the wrong people out, and then it's going, hey, is there a pattern here? Am I getting rid of a lot of people?
What am I doing wrong, right? Yeah, let's do a little self-reflection there, for sure.
But Brian, I've been blessed. I moved to Florida. I've got a neighbor who's a retired 2-star general, and he told me something that was really fundamentally, I guess, changed my thought about leadership. He's saying that leadership has to be inspired, right? I mean, it sounds as if you're inspired to do what you're doing. If you're not inspired, the business is not going to work. So I guess what inspires you every day? Because it sounds like you've got a ton of energy behind your business, and what keeps you going every day? Because you could pack it in and say, I'm retired, I don't need to do this anymore. What drives you to continue to do this?
Yeah, I leap out of bed at 5:55 a.m. every day because I love what I do. I love my business. And, there's times when you go through bad moments and bad periods, yet I still love it. It's like, being on a bike and falling off. You get back up and you're just like, man, I can't wait to get pedaling again. So for me, what drives me, we have something we call our painted picture. We've always got a 5-year vision for our brands. So whether it's 1-800-GOT-JUNK or Shack Shine, what's the vision moving forward of where we want to go? It's really wrapped in this whole concept of why are we building this? And O2E Brands is about building something exceptional, taking the ordinary and making it exceptional through amazing people and amazing leadership. And so that drives us to just take things and go, hey, junk removal is not sexy, but it sure is sexy when you're a brand that's across Canada, the United States, and Australia with 2,000 trucks. How do you create that level of scale and excitement to get people just fired up? So I think what motivates me is just pure passion for building stuff.
What kind of systems did you start implementing? Like for us in multifamily, we have the management systems. We've got ways that we have to run the business and try to get tenants and all. What kind of systems did you start implementing, and what did you think were really key to get your business to that next level?
Yeah, 6 years in, so a year after I fired all those guys, I read a book called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Yeah. And it was really my Bible, if you will, of how to systematize the business. Any of your audience looking for a good read, it's a short read, it's a simple read, and it's one that really talks about the importance of and how to go out and create systems. A belief I have that I got from a good friend of mine, Jack Daly, who's the professional sales coach. Jack says, what gets measured gets done. Excuse me there. What gets measured gets done. A little tongue twister for you, or for me anyways. But what that says is get out there and measure things in your business and make sure that you're driving things forward. And so what I do is we sit there and we'll look at an area of the business and say, we need a system there. People don't fail, systems do. What is the potential systematic missing piece here? And how do we really put something in place so we can better manage and measure that outcome? So, an example is people. We take twice a year, we get the entire company to take an engagement survey. We find out how engaged they are with specific questions of things that they're not happy with, opportunities of things for us to fix and improve. We're always wanting to get the engagement scores to be higher with the outcome that we've got a highly engaged culture. So you got to measure it, you got to manage it, and you got to have systems that guide the process.
Brian, with all that money you've got coming in, do you have any form of investment that you like, real estate, stocks, bonds? Because I know you're building brands, you're building businesses. That's one form. You're looking for other forms of, I guess, passive income to your portfolio?
I'm not. I really pour my money back into my business. We, I think myself and my family have a pretty simple life. I love what I do. My wife loves what she does. And, we're big skiers as a family. So beyond our ski cabin, the investment really goes back into the company, and then what we can do philanthropically to help the community that's helped us be successful. So as a family, we invest in something called Me2We. It's an organization which helps the global world in both Africa and India. We've done some trips as a family to help support building schools. So we like to mix in the adventure and so on with what we do philanthropically, but not a big investment guy. So I know I'm talking to two real estate moguls, and I know you guys are, got a whole bunch of
we
great
know all
stuff
about
going
pouring the
on.
money back into the business, so it's not that much different.
It's very similar.
I mean, and business can be so much fun that it isn't, I don't know about you guys. I'm not looking for more wealth. I've got everything I could possibly have. I'm looking for more opportunity for others. How do you build and grow a great organization that just continues to attract great people where they're just fired up each and every day?
How old are your children?
They range from 12 down to 5.
Oh, so I was thinking kids in the business. Do you see them? I mean, how do you speak to them about money? I mean, do you want them to come into the business with you? I mean, what are your thoughts of that going forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. We don't actually talk about their future in the business. I want them to find their own path. And if they want to be here one day and approach me, hey, awesome. They've got jobs, starting at the bottom. So whatever, opportunity they want to take there. But, I think money is an important thing to teach kids how to earn it, how to give it away, all those important conversations. So it's having conversations, but we don't talk about what they want to be when they grow up. I just want them, like most parents, want your kids to be happy.
That's right. Happy and just choose what you want. I love that. Let me ask you one final question before Jake gets into the short answers. I guess what's the best building tip advice for the listeners to building that business or even starting a business?
Yeah, best tip I think I have from my own experience, whether you're starting or you're scaling, is have a painted picture. Have a vision of what you're building, what that future looks like. In fact, if any of your viewers ever want to get onto Instagram and send me a note at Brian Scudamore, happy to share our painted picture of what we're building if it helps inspire others to create their own. But have a vision. People spend so much time going, I don't have the money, I don't have the education, maybe it's not the idea. Just think about what the destination looks like 5 years out, and then the pieces will magically come into place. And I know magic isn't something that most of us are familiar with. Somehow when you create a vision, if it's so clear and you share it with others, it almost feels like magic.
It's the exit strategy, Jake.
I can share ours a little bit. It looks like a Chick-fil-A, but it's an apartment building. It's an apartment building where people are saying please and thank you when people are being taken care of. So pretty
That's
easy.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So one more quick shout out here. We want to touch on our sponsor again, and that's CrowdStreet. CrowdStreet believes that investors of all sizes should have access to quality commercial real estate investment opportunities. The CrowdStreet Marketplace features vetted commercial real estate investment offerings from over 100 sponsors from across the U.S. Download a free copy of our commercial real estate investing guide at crowdstreet.com/wheelbarrow. And Gino, I said it last time, when are we getting something on the marketplace, man? Come on already.
Jake, I just have one thing to say about CrowdStreet. They're disruptors just like Brian in the market. That's what they're doing. They're out there disrupting the marketplace, and they're leading by example, right? They're starting something new, and they have a vision just like Brian does, and they're going after that vision. So it's awesome to be part of them.
Amen,
yeah.
Joseph. So, Brian, this is my favorite question of the show. I always ask everybody, what is your best habit for success? What is something that you do? I know you get up early, but what is something that, through the last 20 years that you've done consistently that separated you and allowed you to grow such a fantastic business?
Yeah, so number one habit, and it's tied back into the getting up early. I get up at 5:55. It's very precise. I don't snooze my alarm. I'm just boom, I'm up. But the first thing I do, the most important habit, I call it my keystone habit, is I write down in a note on my iPhone what my intention is for the day. And it could be, be optimistic and positive during the tough time I'm going through that week. It could be to, really show care for others and pay attention to others. It might be a specific goal or something I need to do. It might be getting back to the gym. Whatever it is, it's setting my intention and the one most important thing for the day and making sure that I carry that intention with me and get that item done that day.
You are setting the tone from the day at 5:55 every morning once you get up. I love that.
It's miracle morning, Jake.
Never miss.
Mindset, baby.
Yeah,
That's right.
I love that.
So another question. What is your favorite book? Is there a business book that you read? I know we touched on some things throughout. What is something that you think everyone needs to read that's looking to grow a business?
Yeah, so number one is the E-Myth. You know, it's an oldie but a goodie. It's about 30 years old. E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. I'd also say that I'm not a big reader, so I'll often throw in an audiobook and try and listen, but I'm a terrible reader. But some of the reads that have made an impact over the years, Jim Collins' Good to Great. It's got to be one of the best books ever written because it just really dissects companies that made the leap from good to great. And I think one of my last ones is 22 Immutable Laws of Branding. It's just such a great book on rules of branding and how to create exceptional brands.
That's great.
I learned something interesting the other day. I was forget the book that I was actually listening to because I listen to Audible because I hate reading. It's just not something I enjoy. And they were going through and they were saying that some people are just listeners. And some people are actually readers where they absorb it. Where the listeners, you give them like one page or very summarized, they'll absorb it and they'll get something out of it. And that was totally me. And maybe you're along those same lines. Where if you give me a big thick book, it's gonna bore me or whatever. So I like to kind of either if I'm working out, get something on Audible and just get it. But I know Gino will read a book a week though. So I think everyone just has different learning styles.
It's three forms. It's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Yeah. So some people like to do, some people like to watch, and some people like to read. And we all have a mixture of all of them. I'm trying to do some real estate reading right now. It's like watching paint dry, bro. It's so boring. But if I can listen to it on a video and mix it up, it's much better that way.
Yeah.
So
agree.
Anyways, that's the downfall for me in school right there. But we'll just leave it at that.
I hated school. I love to learn. I know. Not reading books.
I am with you there. What project are you excited about right now?
Excited about a project. My kids' school, we created a Can You Imagine wall. So we've got this big wall in our office, the Junction, which is a wall of things that people can imagine as big, bold goals and dreams of things they want to get done in the business, in their life. So it started with, can you imagine being a guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show? I put that up there. We made it happen. It's people putting things up there. Can you imagine being in a third country? And we get out there and start Australia. They're big ideas. But my project was going into schools. And I started with my kids' school, and I've got a second school coming up where I inspired them to look within to say, kids in elementary school and grade school aren't taught how to dream and how to think big. They're taught boundaries and they're put in a box. So we created this big wall with things like, can you imagine finding a cure for cancer? Can you imagine taking a trip to the moon? Whatever those big goals might be, I wanted the kids to get them up on the walls. If you go to Instagram and you go to, I think the hashtag is Can You Imagine Wall, you'll see what that wall looks like. And it's something that I hope spreads throughout my kids' city and then into cities beyond.
I can tell Brian's doing a lot of masterminding because in the mastermind group, we have bucket lists where we need to do something. We want to get something done. And if you don't do something like take a trip or swim the English Channel or something like that, that big goal, as you said, as adults, those get squashed. But when you get into a mastermind with 50 or 100 other guys and they're holding you accountable, if you can start that at an early age, that is awesome. I would love that.
How important is that, though? Because kids have so many limiting beliefs. Like I always share with you, my limiting belief was I never thought I could, start a business. I thought I was always going to be a worker. This is such an important thing, and will have such a positive impact on these kids' lives. That is great.
That's great.
Man,
it's opening up kids' mind to possibility, and rather than having them have their own internal conversation saying I can't, have them think I can do anything. It's pure possibility.
And empower them. Let them choose. Like you said, you're not going to push your kids into doing a business or going to college or whatever. Whatever they find passionate, they'll have a lot of energy doing that. So I totally agree with that. That's really good. Yeah. That's excellent.
This has been one of my favorite shows. Brian, you are an authentic dude. You're the real deal. And we can tell because we talk to enough guys where, you hear it come through in the passion. So, man, this has been great.
Thank you.
What is the best way for listeners to get a hold of you? I know you mentioned your Instagram page. If someone wants to reach out, is that the best place? And what's the handle again?
Yeah, so they can go to @BrianScudamore on Instagram. I'm on all the social media channels. They can also send me an email. Go onto our O2EBrands.com website. Easy way for you to find all my contact info and send me a note. And if I can ever help anybody, I always do my best to give back. And that painted picture, if anyone wants to see a copy, we got a little system for that. So go to Instagram at Brian Scudamore.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
Awesome.
What's great about this, Jake, we're going to end it right now, but what I wanted to say is I'm not a big fan of franchises, but I would love to be part of his network and his team and his vision.
It's all about the people, right, Gino?
It's the easiest way to start a business is you're actually getting a business in a box, like multifamily in a box. You're starting a business, and anyone out there looking to start a business or looking to actually grow, if you're a multifamily operator and you want to start, hey, I want you move me as part of another business for that spoke. You have another ancillary part of the income, or you want a shack shine to go in with your multifamily business, I would hit Brian up tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the plug. And you know what, you guys, both Gino and Jake, great guys, enjoyed your energy and passion. Clearly, you're doing this podcast to get lessons out there to the world of all the great stuff great people are doing. So honored that I was a guest and get to play a small role in that. So thank you.
Likewise.
Thanks,
Thank
Brian.
you. Thanks, Brian. We'll see you.
Have a good day, guys. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, you guys.